Did you at that point know, in terms of characters, who those two guys were? I mean, how did this whole family element, which is so important to the show? I mean, even you know, Jared says to the girl in this episode, "I've got to go back because it's my family." How did that whole family aspect?
Just, you know, you write what you know, and I'm from a very close-knit family, and I have a big brother. And you know, and I have, you know, a lot of, you know, really great friends, and just, you know, sort of the way guys talk and the way they communicate without ever really communicating anything, and so it just kind of grew out of that, and so I knew I wanted to do, you know, in terms of the characters, I knew I wanted, you know, the little brother to, you know, be conflicted and have a lot of, you know, a lot of the angst and problems, which I threw right to Jared. And I wanted a big brother to just be a total smartass. I mean, that's how I started, you know. And so, you know, and it's you know, with a show like this, that's, you know, with the genre, and it's sort of out there, it really needs like a grounding influence, and to ground the show into family and elements of family, and that, you know, the care that these brothers have for each other really helps us, because these two guys.
Big hug, big hug.
Yeah, because these two guys, I mean, the relationship they have, I mean, sometimes we have, you know, good subject matter, and sometimes, you know, we don't. But the relationship of the brothers, these two actors always sees us through. So,
were you familiar with their work, or did you just bring in a ton of actors to audition for the roles?
We auditioned everybody in town. As you always do, kind of on these pilots. My wife was quite the Gilmore Girls fan, so I knew. I knew Jared's work, and Jensen, our director, David Nutter, who directed the pilot, knew Jensen from was it Dark Angel? Probably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he knew him from Dark Angel, and so Dark Angel, Jensen and Dark Angel. I mean, come on. And so when we were casting the characters, it was David Nutter who said, you know, we have to fly down Jensen, who was up shooting Smallville at the time, so he wasn't really in the pilot pool, and, you know, thank God we did, because he walked. Actually, the story, which was funny, is Jensen walked in the room and met with us, and David and Peter Johnson and I, and we talked to him, and we walked out the door, and we looked at each other, and we were so excited, and we were like, we found him, we found Sam.
I didn't get flown down. I cried myself.
Yeah.
So I wanted that to be known.
And so, you know, these things just kind of form as puzzle pieces come together. And it wasn't until we met Jared that we were like, well, that's Sam. And we're like, and then, you know, Jensen could be Dean. And then it all just kind of, you know, it all kind of came together from there.
That's real interesting. Well, how about you guys, Jared and Jensen? Can you tell us?
I'll let Jensen take that
from your.
You go ahead.
Oh, Jensen, that's totally you. What was
honestly?
What's the exact question?
The question is.
Spelling bee?
Can you
use the word
spell leopard.
Use that in a sentence.
leopard?
Leopard.
No. The question was, can you talk about the audition process from your perspective?
Well, it's interesting, actually, for me, hearing it from Eric's perspective. I had obviously been working with Warner Brothers for Gilmore Girls, and the 5 years prior to doing the show, I'd worked on Gilmore Girls and sort of developed a relationship with some of the people at the Warner Brothers offices, and had kind of heard about a few of the pilots coming out, and I read this one in particular, and I really enjoyed the characters, and it really struck me as something that I remembered hearing sort of a one-sentence breakdown of, like, it's kind of Supernatural. It's called Supernatural. And I was thinking, like, great, Charmed or Buffy, which are all great shows, but not the show I wanted to be a part of. You know, I didn't want to do Roswell or Charmed or Buffy. And then when I read it, I was like, wow, this is very interesting, and so much more than just, like, a scary show. So
what appealed to you about it?
Well, I sort of, I grew up son of an English teacher, so she was always big, and she actually taught heroes, myths, and legends, so I was familiar with the mythology and sort of the Joseph Campbell teachings of Joseph Campbell. And
didn't rub off that she was an English.
Didn't rub off, yes. Yeah, it didn't. I just worked till 4:30 this morning in Vancouver, so I'm a
Kind of
little
interesting that you mentioned
worse for
Joseph
wear.
Campbell, because there's a little bit of the reluctant hero. In
Very
the
much. I
character.
mean, there's so much more than just the reluctant hero. I mean, when you get into the archetypes, there's sort of, each script is just bursting at the seams with archetypes. And, you know, last thing I think these people want to hear is me go into an explanation of, I love the script, I love the character.
Did, so,
We're doing a answer.
I'm awake.
Okay.
so